Session 10, Object-Oriented Databases. Simply put, an object-oriented database is a database that can store objects when queried. This database returns the objects in their entirety, which means a returned object attributes and methods are as usual as they were before. So all that have been saved, stored as objects are also retrieved. There are a variety of the object-oriented database system platform. And for this discussion, we will look at the concept of database system. This is because there is no prominent standard for object-oriented databases, unlike the widely accepted SQL standard for relational databases. This session provides direction to students on how to apply the object-oriented concept to databases. At the end of this session, you will understand the object-oriented database system. Also know the major description of an object. Appreciate some advantages as well as drawbacks associated with object-oriented databases, and differentiate between object-oriented databases and relational databases. Some of the key topics to be covered in this session are introduction to object-oriented database management system, objects and classes, benefits, as well as the drawbacks of object-oriented databases. This is the reading prescribed for you for this session. Introduction to object-oriented database management system. The first topic. Object-oriented database provides all the facilities associated with object-oriented paradigm. It enables us to create classes, organize objects, structure and inheritance, hierarchy, and all methods of their classes. Besides this, it is also important to note that it provides the facility associated with standard database system. However, object-oriented database systems have not yet replaced the relational database system in commercial business applications. An object-oriented database management system is a database management system that supports the modeling and the creation of data as objects. This includes some kind of support for classes, the objects, and then the inheritance of classes and properties, as well as method by subclasses, and their objects are inherited in these classes. There is currently no widely agreed upon standard for what constitutes an object-oriented database system, and procedures are considered to be still in its infancy. An object-oriented database interface standard is being developed by an industry group, the Object Data Management Group, that is ODBM, and other groups are also working on the standards. In the meanwhile, the object-oriented database management system, the idea is of objects and not of relational databases. It is more commonly encountered in available products, and of course, not as object-oriented database management system. The following are the two different approaches for designing an object-oriented databases. One, we have the design to store, and of course, we have the relational design. The design to store, and then we also have the retrieve and management of the object-oriented databases. Now, this is the assignment, the individual, and then the forum, which you have in a due time. Now let's turn our attention to the second topic, which is classes and objects. Objects and classes. Objects are the small, self-contained, and modular units with a well-defined boundary. An object is a real-world thing which performs a specific task. An object consists of a state, that is the property, and behavior, which is the method. The state of an object is one of the possible conditions that the object can exist in and is represented by its characteristics or attributes or data or properties of the object. And in object-oriented programming or object-oriented database management system, objects are the list containing having the properties and behavior as well. The behavior of an object determines how an object acts or behaves. It is represented by the operations that it can perform. So the object itself represents what it can do, the operation that it can perform. All is inherited in the objects. You have different objects, and then the objects have different tasks. They have different functions, and they can call each other at different times. A class is defined as a user-defined data type, which contains the entire set of properties and methods, similar data, and then the function that the object possesses. In a nutshell, a class is made up of a group of objects, and they can call each other at different times. The objects of a class are also known as instances or the variables of that class. The objects of a class are known as the instance or the variables of that class, and the process of creating objects from a class is known as instantiation. Now note that class does not represent an object. Rather, it represents the data and the function that an object should have. And this is a clear difference between an object and a class. Note that the data belonging to a particular class is known as the data members, and the function of that class are also known as member functions, and both collectively are known as members of the class. So for each class, it has members, it has functions, objects, and all these are members of that class. This is an example of a class having different objects, different functions, properties, and trying to interrelate. Now, let's briefly look at some of the benefits of object-oriented database management systems. Now, the benefits of a database management system are numerous. One, we can talk about enriched modeling capabilities. With this, we are using objects and then classes. So it's really enriched the modeling capabilities, unlike using the hierarchical, the network, or the tables. Extensibility. The object-oriented database system can be extended to different types. It allows new data types to be built from existing type, and that extends to other programs, and is also a benefit to the object-oriented programming. The capability of handling a large variety of data. The object-oriented programming or object-oriented database management system has the capability of handling a large variety of data types. And of course, because of the classes and then the benefits, the objects. It can also remove independence in mismatch, unlike the independence being a main problem in object-oriented. More expressive query languages. Now, with the query languages, you can now express it in different forms. You can really call it in different forms, and you have the navigational access from the object as well. Support for schema evolution. The tight coupling between the data and application in an object-oriented data model makes schema evolution more feasible and also support for long-duration transaction. The applicability to advanced database application is one of the advantages, and this is also applied to information systems, office information systems, multimedia systems, computer-aided design, which could not be handled by the database management system relational, the traditional one, but with the object-oriented, these are becoming feasible and easy. Improved performance. There have been a number of benchmarks that have suggested that object-oriented database management system provides significant performance improvement over the relational database model. Of course, we are dealing with classes, we are dealing with objects, and it makes the programming very simple and easy to go about. Apart from the benefits, there are some few drawbacks which are also worth considering in terms of the object-oriented database management systems. Lack of universal data model. Unlike the relational data model, which can be based on relational data model, with this, there's no universal data model. It only depends on objects and classes. Lack of experience. Most of the programmers are now getting into the object-oriented data modeling and database systems, and therefore they don't have much experience as they have in the relational database management system. And of course, there is lack of standards because it is still in its infancy stage. Now it's competing with the relational data model, and that is really affecting its penetration in the market. Query optimization, compromise, encapsulation, which is also one of the main reasons, one of the disadvantages of the object-oriented data model. Query optimization requires so many things. Lacking of object level may impact performance, and then also complexity of the system are all impinging on the object-oriented data model. Lack of support for views and lack of support for security are also major ingredients affecting the object-oriented database management system. Currently, most of the object-oriented database management systems do not provide a view mechanism, which, as we have seen previously, provided in many of the traditional database management system. Again, the database management system, the traditional one, has a lot of security levels, which is lacking in the object-oriented database management system. And the object-oriented database management system do not provide adequate security mechanism, and it's a setback, a drawback on this generation. Now, with these disadvantages, here are some of the reference lists that you have to look at your own free time before we meet for the other session. Bye.